Hello, my name is Luna, and you're listening to Infinite Souls, a podcast for that real talk about consciousness, spirituality, and realizing our infinite potential. Mucho, mucho love and light. Hello, everyone. I'm back again on a thankful Tuesday. Whenever you're listening to this evening, daytime, I'm interviewing someone today, another infinite soul who goes by Lauren. Say hi, Lauren, to everyone.
Hello. Thanks so much for having me, Luna.
And you can find Lauren at Hypnolution on Instagram. That is at HYPNOLUTION. Lauren, if you guys don't know, want to get to know her, she's a hypnotherapist and an energy healer. So that is amazing. She's into all that mystical, fun shit that I am into as well. Sisters, reflections. We met online. Like I meet most people nowadays, right?
Right?
Yeah, I feel like that's especially after COVID, like that's the thing.
I know. And I love how you said spiritual shit because it adds a sassiness to it and like a badassness and like a real flow of just, it doesn't need to be so serious.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, people, I feel like I don't take life very seriously at all. Like I've never been that way. And it could annoy some people because some people are very, very serious.
Mm.
Like they're like, you don't take anything serious. I'm like, well, no. No, honestly, no. Life, honestly, I think that I always say you gotta laugh at life before life laughs at you.
I love that.
My
Right? And then if you're laughing at life, if people are laughing at you, you're just like, I'm laughing too, so it doesn't matter.
yeah, and it's all good fun. It's all good fun. But I like to start the show with an icebreaker with everyone that I interview. So, you are my second person that I interview. So lucky
So
numero
honored.
dos. Woo, yes, lucky numero dos. So it's an honor. But I'm gonna ask you a question. Whatever the first answer that comes to mind, okay? It's
Right?
an easy one, don't worry.
Okay.
What are you grateful for?
Ooh, I'm grateful for in this moment right now. Connection with you, honestly, truly. And not to be like super cheesy about it, but these are the kind of things that like keep me going in life. It's like a real one-on-one connection with someone.
I love it. Yeah, definite. Thank you. That's so sweet. That's so sweet. I'm also grateful for this connection. I did a little prayer before we started the show. I like to connect with Source, and I did say thank you for this connection to be able to connect with beautiful Lauren. I'm so excited. Since you are a hypnotherapist, I also want to ask you some hypnotherapy questions
Sure.
because I always was kind of interested in it, but I've never, I've done it on myself, like through meditation, but not with a professional.
Yeah,
So, so maybe I can get something from you. Maybe we can, maybe we can work together.
definitely. Yeah, I like magic swap a little bit.
Yeah, love
Yeah.
it.
So if
All
you want
right.
to go a little into it, I always love talking about it. It lights me up.
Yes, I love it. Oh my God. Okay, this is exciting. All right. So, I want to talk about the shame around sexuality that a lot of people have, um, just around their sexual preference and also around being just sexual beings, in general. It does have a really bad, not a bad light, not always to everyone, but to a lot of people. Um, I feel like religion plays a big part, the systemic. upbringing, society, and everything. So, what are
Mhm.
your thoughts?
Yeah. So there's so much to it. There's so much to it. There's shame around sexuality. And so as a hypnotherapist, I started going to therapy myself for PTSD and then around driving. And then I felt like there was more to just this life. There was much more to my identity, my soul. After I started really going into hypnosis, then I learned about past lives and the amount of lives that are held within our bodies, the amount of shame that's held within our bodies from not just this life, but past lives where we were murdered or raped or suppressed or in slavery. And like we're holding that. And so when I started going to my first hypnotherapy session, and I was like, is this even going to work? Like, what? I don't understand really what the concept was at all. But I did understand meditation. And so I was like, I can visualize things with my mind, I can see things, I can feel. But this was such a different experience. It was where someone was with me to kind of push me into these moments, and even though that they were scary, and that's really where it is, like the trauma that we might not even be remembering or knowing that we're holding. So like a rape that happened, I still felt safe. I knew it was outside my body, but it was like I was reprocessing something that I didn't realize I had. And it was like in this past life, this one where I was like very raped and I was like envisioning it, I realized it was because I wanted to please a man, and I realized what the energy I was putting out. And other lives too were just very, very much suppressed and a little bit sad. But I think that's where our trauma is. It's okay to go into it because then we're pulling in more of our soul and our body and our power and our sexuality, and not being so afraid of our sexuality, which is definitely based on religion, definitely based on the male patriarchy of the society and the male approach of like the go, 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 go all the time. um, and so that's what really got me into hypnotherapy. And then I decided to become a hypnotherapist myself and be trained in those trauma modalities and the family dynamics and our upbringing from our own parents in this life. Um, yeah, like I was like thrown an anatomy book when I was a child. Like it was so awkward to talk about sex. Like it was not spoken about at all. So,
Uh,
you learn from like your friends when you're growing up. And I like my first boyfriend was like, ew, you're a virgin. Like that's so then I like started thinking like, oh, I gotta please the man. And so then it just was like the pleasing, like the neediness was just like seeping out and not being received, if that makes any sense at all.
yeah, no, it makes sense. I think a lot of women would agree with that kind of dynamic when it comes to men and women, or people who identify as a man and a woman. I know it's an energy, feminine and masculine, but even with that dynamic, even if it's uh, both like a lesbian couple or you know a gay couple, it's still the same kind of dynamic. There's going to be like one that's more feminine, one that's more masculine. So it still applies.
Yes, yes. So, and as a soul too, we've incarnated as males or females or,
Mhm.
and
Yeah, past lives, right? Like you could, I'm sure I was a man before. I'm pretty sure.
mm-hmm, yeah,
Wow. So the shame is not, it doesn't only come from this lifetime, from other lifetimes as well. So there's a lot of digging in there to try to remove that, right? Or to heal that
to
because it's not
understand
really
it,
removed.
yeah, and really heal it, definitely.
And hypnotherapy is a great tool. I'm assuming that is something that you use to heal that your sexual shame, like your sexuality shame.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still moving through my sexuality shame for sure. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not fully embodied as like this sensual sexual goddess that doesn't like fear, like, oh, I mean, if I post something sexual, maybe I'll be like, it will be received in different ways, and that's okay, and that's beautiful. But also with like polyamory, and I feel like a lot of spiritual people are coming out and being more polyamorous, and like free love, like as a Native American culture is very tribal. That's a new thing, so that's a little scary to kind of dive into or even tell your family about. So that was something as well this year that I very much dove into myself personally and talked to a lot
Oh,
of other people about. And yeah, so it's interesting the dynamics of it, and moving through those insecurities or jealousies that might come up without projecting them onto someone, taking ownership and just being honest about what your needs are and your desires are.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And finding that balance, knowing that because it's not ego driven, right? It's like it's pure creative energy. Interesting. You said you got into polyamorous relationship this year. Is that
Mm-hmm.
this last year?
Yeah, I was with my ex partner, and we were deciding to tap into a little bit of polyamorous relationships. So it was a little bit separate, and I was dating a woman, and he was dating another woman. So, but it was really beautiful. It was really like beautiful to understand more about the different types of dynamics that can play out, and really being honest. It was definitely a learning curve for me for sure. But I do feel I could still be that type of person, and I am really kind of a free love type of person. So it's more just talking to people about it and kind of seeing like what our kinks are and what we really want. And yeah, and just less fear on speaking about that shame. I think that's the thing, is even saying like out loud, we may have shame revolving around something. We might be holding pain in our bodies, in our womb area, and not even know how to fully touch ourselves or orgasm or be connected to our bodies. And without needing that outside external source as well, just like within our own sensuality and loving ourselves.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, and definitely speaking about it, I agree with that, that it's very important to speak about the things that you're shameful about, without the shame, and that just alone speaking about it really does release so much energy that's been trapped in the emotional body or the physical body as well. So yeah, yeah, I really agree with that. And the more that people talk about it, the more common it becomes. Um I feel like sexuality is becoming more and more fluid as time progresses. Um, I feel like everyone is bisexual in a way. Like I don't know. It's a lot. I also am navigating through it. Um, fun, my sexuality, I've always had um, a difficult relationship with it because I used to date only men before, and I was always very sexual, but without any emotions attached to it. Sex really didn't mean much to me. It was just like get pleasure and then done, right? And I was very much in my masculine and was like having not relationships, but having intercourse with these men, and I'd just be like, okay, you can leave now, like instead of the guy doing it to the girl, right? So I'm like, bye, okay, check out. And then when I started doing healing on my own trauma that I have from being molested at the age of 5, it only happened one time, but it's something that traumatic that made me block a lot of things. I started to compartmentalize things,
Mhm.
and so I didn't feel my emotions. I wasn't, all that. So I had to regain this function of recognizing what these emotions are that I'm feeling. Why am I feeling them? Where does it come from? and really just looking at it, when you look at the trauma, then it starts to transform itself on its own, just energetically. And then I started dating a woman for the first time this year, and so that brought up a lot of inner child healing, just because being in a relationship does. um but the fact that it was a woman and it was my first woman, that was in a like a relationship, it brought up a lot of shame for me that I felt, because I grew up in a very religious upbringing, like Christian, very religious. And so there was things in their beliefs that were like ingrained there because so many years, that even though I didn't believe them, I don't believe them like consciously, subconsciously those beliefs were still there, and they very much came up. And drove me crazy. so so definitely that's the healing, that's a lot of healing that had to be done.
Yeah.
um
Was it your parents that were very against bisexual or homosexual relationships, or was it?
well, I grew up in a single mother home, so it was just my mom. My dad was never around. I really didn't rarely ever talk to him on the phone, maybe. And but my whole entire family, everybody was Christian, so everybody is was against like homosexuality, just because of really, saying that they're gonna go to hell and things like that, but I think my mom has changed a lot of her belief patterns, belief from religion. I see that they are slowly changing. Like, she's becoming a lot more open-minded. It's happening slowly, but it is happening, and so that's exciting.
So yeah, this year, did she meet your partner at all, or?
No, she didn't meet my partner.
Mhm.
We were only together for 8 months, which, it's, I guess in LA is a long time for LA.
Mhm.
But for me, I'm a Scorpio, so I'm like
Me too.
you too? Ah!
When's your birthday?
November 5th.
Happy early birthday.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Mine was October 27th.
Oh, wow. Well, happy belated birthday.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Wow. Okay, see, I
Mhm.
knew we connected for a reason. So I'm a Scorpio, so I don't forget, what was I saying?
Your partner and meeting your mom, maybe.
Oh. Oh yeah, so for me 8 months is not a long time. For me, like, I have to be completely 100% sure, like,
Slow build of trust.
yeah, I take it very serious,
Mhm.
And my mom has only met like one or two of my boyfriends, like,
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm 33 years old.
Mhm.
Okay. So, you know, I just I wasn't really in a lot of relationships, to be honest, because that's not really what I wanted. Um Now I am looking, but I I was looking to date a man, um just because I've never been in a relationship with a man that's been a healthy relationship.
Really.
And so I feel like when I got into this relationship with this woman, I do love her and she has an amazing soul. She's a great person. Um, but I just didn't feel that physical like tug, like, when it came to intimacy, and that bothered me, because and I didn't know how to fix it, so I think that when I started the relationship, I was kind of like so over men. I was like so just like, oh, I fucking hate men. Like, I'm so done with the dating scene. They're all the same, you know. And so I'm like, and I told Spirit, like, I'm just gonna be open. And I got to experience a great love, and But I feel that for me to be fully satisfied, I think I need to be with a man. And I'm still trying to figure that out too. I'm still figuring out my sexuality as well, because I'm sure that if I was to be in a relationship with a man, we might, be open, to doing different things with other people. I mean, I don't know, because I'm very open like that. Um, but yeah, it was difficult for me to leave the relationship, but I knew that if I wasn't fully in it, I was only gonna hurt her, and I didn't want to do that.
Definitely.
So I ended it. But yeah, that's my story.
Wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And so setting that boundary for yourself and not feeling that emotional intimacy and knowing that if you
Mhm.
were to continue, it would just hurt. So it's
Yeah,
really strong to do, and really having courage to break up with someone and be like
I know.
the bad guy. But it's not, because you can't just be with someone that you're not feeling that passion with, or all of the levels, the emotional, the mental, the physical, and the spiritual. The spiritual is really important too. Oh my gosh, yes, I feel you on so many of those levels.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
when you
spiritual.
said you were a little promiscuous without the emotion. I hate that. I fucking hate that. I'm so over that. Like I can't have sex with someone that I don't emotionally connect with. Like I'm done with it. Even like they have to be a little fucking weird. Like they need to be weird and like goofy. Like, I'm not just gonna like. I think a guy or someone that I go on a date with just assumes because I'm like sexual and I'm a sexual flirty person that like, oh, I'm gonna have sex with you. No, I'm not gonna have sex with you. Like I'm gonna like see if I'm into you, and then maybe.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
um, and I was felt so bad about that for so long. Like, oh, I need to have sex with them because we're dating, and maybe they bought me a couple dinners, and it was like, so I would, and when I was younger, very much feel like I needed to please this person, and then it ended up being a dead anyway because I wasn't in it. I wasn't enjoying it at all.
Yeah.
So once I was with my first partner for a couple years, I was with a narcissist, and I realized the patterns were playing from childhood and kind of what I was needy with, and really trying to be like, oh my God. And he would cheat on me, and then he would tell me I was a psychopath for thinking that he's cheating. And that put me in such a state where I just felt so unworthy of real love. But then I had a beautiful relationship with a partner who helped me feel unconditional love and truly loved me for who I was. And it's sad to feel that maybe that isn't everything that you need in terms of sexuality, in terms of passion, in terms of building that intimacy. And so, and then even exploring like many women that are in long-term relationships with men, they're realizing I'm bisexual or pansexual, and I've never been with a woman, and women are fucking beautiful. What am I doing? But it's like this awkwardness too, like opening that up in the relationship too, and being like, do we want to do this together, or do we want to maybe do this separately so I can build a relationship with a woman kind of on a one-on-one connection. Yeah, and so like playing with that, and in terms of the parents, oh my goodness, the whole generation of that.
Oh my God.
Being like, I'm a free love person. I mean, they don't take that very lightly at all. Or even being with a woman, like that disappointment that
Yeah.
they feel that isn't yours to be holding
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, I wanted to ask, so how do you feel about having multiple partners now that you have, well, first off, when did you have your quote unquote spiritual awakening? And how do you feel? And so after that story, then I'll ask you, how do you feel about having multiple partners after having your spiritual awakening? How do you feel about that? Has it changed your view on sex at all, or is it the same?
Oh, definitely. It's changed my view on sex.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And my spiritual awakening definitely came in different waves for sure. And I feel like I'm still awakening to myself,
Yeah.
but um yeah, in terms of like taking ownership for my needs and my passions, it's definitely changed that. The more like tantric breathwork aspect to sex is really beautiful to have with someone else versus just like where you're disassociated and fucking and not really like in your primal aspect of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so really right now I'm kind of just with myself and having fun with myself and really playing with like my cycles of play. Like when I want to feel that like light, sensual, feathery touch, that's when I need that. Or when I want like to be like really intense with myself and like even choke myself. Like it's fun to do.
Yeah, yeah. Why
It
not?
depends on like the levels of it. And yeah, I'm definitely still a very much free love type of person. And I think being in some type of relationship that maybe they're already in a relationship would be great for me right now because I am, and I just got out of an 8-year relationship. So I'm not really looking for that level of intimacy that's required by someone else, which is why broke up with the woman I was dating too. It was beautifully tantric and sexual, and we had the same dreams on a lot of the same nights, but the mental aspect just wasn't there for me. So I couldn't continue that either and hurt someone, even though I loved them as a person. And I'm also a very slow build of trust, like very slow. And but once like you're in my tribe, like I will hurt anyone for you. Not that they would need to be hurt, but like yeah, I'll protect you.
Yeah,
Like
ride or
we're
die.
not. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Yeah,
So even like my ex-partners, we're still friends, and I'm really grateful for them both
yeah,
as I discover myself and my needs.
yeah,
How
yeah.
about you for in terms of what you're looking for now?
Well, I'm looking for, honestly, I don't even know where any right now at the current moment. I was looking for a partnership, like a relationship where we can build together. But I want somebody, because going back to what you're talking about, how you're speaking about like what your needs are as far as what you're looking for in a partner. I feel like for you to have that type of sex, like the tantric sex and all that, or the breath work, you need to be with somebody who is open to that stuff and who's already, in a conscious state, or self-aware, who's building that self-awareness. So I want to find a conscious partner, somebody who's, aware, self-aware, that I don't have to really, um, sit there and teach like everything, you know what I mean? Of course, we learn from each other and we're learning every day, but I want to be able to experience those things with someone who has experience, because I don't have much experience with that. Everyone, that I dated before was definitely not into that kind of stuff. um, so yeah, I'm just getting to know some people right now. So I'm getting to know a guy, and I'm taking it slow right now. I'm just building friendships. I want to meet as many people as I can to build friendships and connections and just loving, supportive relationships. Doesn't have to be romantic, it's just a relationship, a friendship. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Now, I wanted to ask you, the energetic aspect of when you have sex with someone, you are exchanging energy, right? Even when you just talk to somebody, you're exchanging energy, right? So when you have sex, it's even more intense, right? So excuse me, sorry. So when let's say if you are the kind of person who wants to have multiple partners, you have to make sure you know who these partners are, right? And
Yeah.
what kind of spiritual baggage they got with them. I mean, because that's important to stay protected energetically, right?
Mm-hmm. For sure, right? You're exchanging their light and their shadows. So any codependency, any enmeshment, any all of that is going to come up, and it will replay itself until, if especially if you're not in an emotionally mature relationship, you'll see that you can't really talk about things honestly without triggers coming up. And triggers come up for all of us, but it's how we navigate through those triggers. And you want to be safe, of course. You don't want a partner that may be with a bunch of different people either, because you want to know who they're with. So that's a really important aspect of it. But it's sharing your aura like with each other very deeply. I really truly feel that. Um, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's how my perspective has changed as far as like before my quote unquote spiritual awakening and now. Um sex before, like I said, was very disconnected, and now it's something that is sacred. It's meant to be sacred in a lot of different cultures, and it is pure creative energy, and that is from which everything comes from. So it's very powerful. So that's exciting. Have you ever tried anything like what do they call it? Sex magic, I
I knew
think.
you were going to ask that. Not with another partner, really. Only with myself. So I would
Oh,
love to do that. But
yeah. And so
how about
you did it. So you can do it with yourself. You don't have to do it with a partner.
no, you're manifesting through pleasure, through your orgasm, through your life force, your creative energy. And I'm actually right now in a very beautiful ceremonial witch wound shamanism like ceremony.
Hmm.
And yesterday we kind of dressed up and we really embodied our shadow side, which I found that my shadow side is meaner than I thought I was. I was like, I'm not mean. I'm never mean, but like we're scorpions. We have a bite to us. Like let's embrace it. So my shadow side is like very kind of like snaky, angry, and she's like fiery. And so in this, I mean, there was a lot of energetic work that was being done, not only from this life, but past lives coming through, and the mother wounds and the sister wounds, and which especially has an aspect to us like the competition of sexuality. Like I need to be more, beautiful or sexual to other people than my sister, which is not true. Especially as bisexuals or pansexuals, we're like, no, fuck no, let's hype each other up and like you're fucking beautiful. But I don't know if you've ever, as growing up with different sisters or different friendships, as you're spiritually awakening, you might lose some of those, and the pain and the grief of that loss is beautiful in its own way, but it's as it needs to be for their own growth, for your own growth. And so it was pain but pleasure at the same time, and just like really like understanding your yoni and your anatomy and being in tune with your body, and releasing like the pain that is stored within the body. That's like one of the biggest aspects for me, is that there's pain stored within our physical bodies that we're not even truly aware of because of the universe that exists within us.
Yeah.
Um, and that's what I care about, is that mind body connection. And right, like the disconnection in sex, or like the disassociation that can happen in sex, is because of trauma. And I didn't realize that why I was disassociating when with partners in the beginning. It was because I wasn't in it at all.
Yeah.
Mentally, physically, emotionally. So
Yeah.
I got the question. I just kind of rambled.
No, and I'm just listening. I'm like, yes, yes, girl. No, I was asking about the sex magic that you did
Oh
by
yeah.
yourself. Yeah.
Mhm.
But releasing the pain
So
of
yeah.
your body, right? From there, from that area, like your womb area, your yoni, that is separate or is different from when you're doing the manifesting, or does those things come up?
Well, I would say that they would go hand in hand a little bit, right?
Mhm.
Because it's like
Yeah.
the thing in the root is more of that like trauma, where it's stored within. And once that's released, then it can like the energy can start to emanate out a little bit more.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like knowing when to like bring in our energy and know that we're in our bodies and we're separate from the person next to us. And then when we're ready, we can like expand our energy and feel that universal connection with the person next to us.
Yeah, wow, I felt the energy. I got chills. My God, yeah, yeah. I know it's powerful. I haven't tried manifesting that way yet. I am gonna try it. I am I am a good manifester just on its own, you know. So I can imagine. Yeah. um
What's your human design or life path number?
my life path number is number 5.
Mm.
And my human design, I think I'm a generator, something generator.
Mm.
No, I think I have it somewhere here, but I don't know. It's
I know.
so.
I don't
Do
really
you
know.
know much about human design?
A little bit, like very surface level, not super deep. But I like listening to what other people's are and see if you were like a manifester or something.
Oh wow. Yeah, yeah. I'm no, not a manifester, but I'm good at it. um let's see. So I do want to ask one more question. Okay, well, two questions. First, do you have anything else that you want to add to share that we didn't go over that you want to add? Um, anything?
Let's see. Sometimes in trauma, we may replay relationships that are really painful. And then we might think that we need to settle after we get out of those painful relationships. And there's a balance there. I feel as though this happens a lot because we experience that trauma. We either are going to re experience that trauma or we're going to play it super safe and settle. And it's really important to know that there's a middle ground and we can play with many energies, but not letting our trauma define our features is really important. And sometimes, if your intuition is telling you that this is not right, then it's really important to follow that tug and not the logical pros and cons of the mind. And
Yes.
that's from this guy.
I love it. I love that little guy in there. That big guy. that that hits home definitely. I resonate a lot with what you just said. Um Especially because of the relationship that I got out of, you know, I my intuition and I have very close relationships. So and she also had it was very the relationship was very spiritual, very spiritual. But you know, just I just felt that there was that it needed to end, you know, that I just felt that it was going to break apart, that it was we were going to go our own ways. I just felt it, right? So I I asked spirit, you know, because I couldn't be the one to break up, you know. So I'm like, oh spirit, if it's not meant to be, like you, I'm giving it to you, I'm laying it out to you, you take control. And I will listen if you say no, it's not meant to be, you know. And sure enough, after I had that prayer, you know, we got into an argument, and she decided she was going to leave, and we decided to take a break, and then that's when it happened. But yeah, I listened to, and I didn't fight it at that point, you know. I just said, okay, that's my answer, you know. And so when spirit does take something out of your path, it's because you're meant to go elsewhere, you know, and somewhere greater, you know, for both parties, you know, both of you are going to expand and go reach higher heights after that, you know. So yeah, I really do connect with that. So thank you for sharing, thank you for sharing those beautiful words. I do want to ask one more question. What can you tell to people, somebody listening today, if they want to begin to heal some of that shame that they have around their sexuality? um, what kind of things can they do to heal that?
Mm.
Mhm.
There are so many different techniques and exercises and modalities, but sometimes I feel like asking for help is one of the first steps. We can do this alone, and it's beautiful to do certain things alone, but I find that my spiritual coaches and my teachers are so important in my life, and as we're healing we can really use that reflection, that mirror. But breath work, understanding our emotions, holding those emotions that might be really tough to feel, especially for me. I'm someone who is like, I don't need to feel that. Let's push it aside. But I need that coach to kind of bring me in and help me to let it surface so it doesn't have power over me anymore. Those fears that we don't even say out loud because we think we might be a little tough or strong to have those fears. This is in terms of my own personal experience, but I see it reflected in my clients too. And so it's pulling those out, it's really holding them, it's the shadow work aspect of it. It's not just the mindfulness and the breath work. It's really sitting with things that are deeply embedded, like that molestation, like that sexual shame that we may remember, we may not. We don't have to reprocess it in circle therapy. That's like a different form of hypnosis, but there are ways to bring in more of your soul into your body, and especially movement. There's different types of movement we could do. And then in hypnosis, we go into an aspect of the brain, the different brainwave states, and we rewire some of those fears, and we can reassociate things and feel safer in certain situations where we might not have felt safe before. So, yeah,
Yeah, love that. Love that. I would definitely like to try the hypnotherapy. I
definitely.
I always thought I every time I thought about hypnotherapy before, I thought I always remember that movie, uh, where the Shallow Hal, where he's in the elevator and he's like he
I
sees,
love Jack Black.
and then yeah, with Jack Black, then he sees their inner beauty. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to get that. I need some of that.
Seeing everyone as beautiful in their own like light and their own beauty. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
everyone is beautiful. I honestly, the more love that you start to feel inside of you for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and the the more love you start to feel in your body physically, like are when you're meditating, you're taking in light, right? So the more of that you feel, honestly, your eyes are like rose-colored glasses. You see beauty in everyone. You see God in everyone, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I just love that. So I think meditation, I tell meditation to everybody. That's been my saving grace, honestly.
Yeah,
Meditation. Yeah.
definitely.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I am so happy that you joined today on today's episode. It's been a fun time talking about all this, all about this sexual stuff, sexual healing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I hope that we can do this again another time. We'll go deeper next time, or we can continue this conversation. You're free to come on anytime you want. Okay, Lauren?
Thank you so much, Luna. This was such a pleasure.
Thank you so much. All right, Infinite Souls, until next time, mucho love and light.